It's a update about the Bosch miter saw, and trying to build a dust shield for it, a guard for it that'll work with 4-inch stock. Now, if you remember the last video, I had some trouble with Runout. I put the new blade on there, and I was picking up over 8,000ths Runout with that blade, and it just was too much and causing a little bit of vibration. So I've been playing with it. You know, I went through several passes of kind of stoning down the washers until I got it down about 3,500ths or a little bit less now. So it looks like it's going to be good, and I'll show you exactly what I did. First thing I did was I went and I took a Sharpie, one of the metallic ones, and I marked the indication of how everything was put together and found the high spot and marked it at that. Now the blade does not really matter. I spun that around and I found out that the blade is, you know, flat within like 1,000, so that really doesn't make much of a difference. But these washers are always going to have to go back in the same position in order for this to work. So I took it apart, and there you can see I've got that washer marked and the shaft marked there, so you know I always know which way to put it back together. I may put a little punch mark in there eventually, but you can see I stoned the outside of that washer there, and against the flange that was off some, and I also did the same on the inside and outside of this washer. You see it was just a little bit, it wasn't quite flat. I guess it was just manufacturing processes. And what I did is I took the high spot and I went over a diamond stone, nice flat diamond stone, a couple times. With the high spot I put the most pressure on it to start flattening it, and then I just hit it with some 320 paper to clean it up and get the oil off it. And I did this several times until I finally got, and every time I checked it, put it together, checked it with the indicator until I finally got down to where I was happy with it. Same thing with that one. You can see the one side of that back I had to take a little more off than the other side. That was a high spot. And, you know, just tiny bit at a time, a couple 10,000ths of, or maybe 1/10,000th of an inch at a time. And just check it with the indicator, make sure you're going in the right direction in the high spot, and then, you know, make sure you align them when you put it back together. And in the end, as you saw, I did wind up with a nice smooth running saw. It took a lot of the vibration out of it. And here I'm just going to make a cut with it to show you that. Actually, I don't know if you remember in that, for the last video, I was getting like some chatter from the teeth in it. It looked like when you made a cut. And it looks pretty clean now. Now the cutoff piece always does flap a little bit in the wind. So, you know, that one can have chatter because it starts getting loose at the end. But the main block should be perfect, and now it is. Every cut I've made since I got this set up, you know, the blade is just a beautiful blade. Cuts like butter, and, you know, 3-4 inch lumber, no problem. And now I'm getting pretty much a perfect cut, you can see. Flat, square, and everything else. So, you know, I'm happy now. It did take a little bit of fiddling with it to get it where I wanted it, but, you know, I was able to get all that play out of it. And there you can see where the blade chatters a little bit when that gets loose at the end of the cut, but otherwise, it's, you know, it's a perfect cut pretty much. So then I decided, you know, I'm working on the dust guard, trying to be able to collect dust from 4.5 inch thick lumber. Now there are some available for 1-2 inch thick lumber that work, but, you know, everybody keeps telling me you can buy one of them, but they won't work for 4-inch thick lumber. And they just hang down too far and get in the way and everything else. So I decided to work on my own, and this laser has really been a great help in just prototyping and stuff like that. Here's some black acrylic brackets that I cut with it. Started out, you know, cutting them, and then had to make a couple bends in them, and I've really been enjoying this little bender that I built a while back. This thing really does work good. I'm pretty amazed. It was so simple, and, you know, didn't really cost me anything to build. And it really makes working with acrylic, you know, easy, and bending things and making custom parts and prototyping stuff like that really easy. And this is some of that cast black acrylic that I use there. So I'm just, I'm just spend a day playing around trying to see if I could come up with a guard that works on it. And this is just my first go around, and I'll show you in the end. It didn't actually work, but it was fun. And there's the first brackets, but I bent them wrong, turned out. So back over to the laser, another 30 seconds to cut out another set. And this set I did make some changes too to clear a little piece in there. And same thing, I just bent them up, and another perfect set of matching brackets left and right. And you can see that I bent that a little bit further down, but everything comes out perfect between the laser and this bender with the acrylic. I'm really happy the way it works. And then I had this stupid idea that I was going to shield the top of it to be able to push the sawdust down into a chamber and suck it up. So that's where these brackets went up, where the original actual pickup was. I took that out for this go around, and I just put a piece of plywood on there just to, I cut that plywood just to get an idea of how it was going to work and stuff like that. Just before I cut anything out of the plastic, and then I just went back, put some tape around areas I thought needed, some extensions in and stuff. And once I got that worked out, I figured I'd just, go change it over to plastic and do a run of it. It's really nice being able to run cardboard and stuff like that first. But this sheet, this was a different acrylic that I bought. This is a cast acrylic, but it was from a different company, and I didn't get a full cut through all the way around. It was just on the edge of cutting through, so I actually had to pop it out there. And later on I found out, I thought it was for being a different acrylic, but later on I figured out, I think that my lens is getting dirty. I'm going to have to clean all the lenses just to get it back to cutting the way it was, because I've got a couple hours on this cutting acrylic and engraving acrylic and stuff. So there I was able to bend them up, and then figuring out the chamber for down below. And that's the acrylic, and this is the original acrylic that I was using in the same settings. You can see they just barely don't cut through, so it definitely seems to be the laser is getting, the lenses are getting stuff accumulated on them, so I have to do a cleaning next. But again, each of these pieces has, some of them have several bends in it. You can see how easy this machine makes it to do. So definitely, if you've got one of these lasers and you're planning on working with acrylic, I would say, make a bender. And then it's a simple matter to start putting things together. And I'm just using some super glue here. And it's a little bit thicker. It's like a medium viscosity that I'm using. And it's kind of tough to get on when you're putting together tabs and stuff that lock together like that. It's kind of tough, but just put a little bit of super glue on the mating surface and tab, and then a little bit of activator on there, and then you've got probably about 4 seconds after those two hit to get everything straightened up and squared up and where you want it. Otherwise you're in trouble, so you have to work fast once you hit it with that activator. And I didn't do a perfect job. I did smear a little bit stuff, but it's not bad for my first attempt. And then on to the second side here, same thing, little super glue on there, get everything squared up. And there's the start of my little chamber. You can see, everything. That laser is really great for prototyping. And then I cut a cardboard blank at the top to final go around to make sure everything was working and square and looked like it was going to work, and no major changes. And then it's over to the laser, and I just switched the settings and switched it over and cut the top out of the acrylic. And there you can see I did a second pass just to clean it up so I wouldn't have the problem of it sticking. So it's definitely something in the lens being dirty. And Then a couple of little reinforcement brackets, you know, cut out on the laser, and over and do a little more bending here. And I just wanted to show you, you know, how easy it is to do prototyping with, you know, a machine like that CO2 laser there. I just couldn't do the clear plastic on the diodes, and you know, you really wanted to use clear a lot of times when you're building dust guards and stuff like that. So here we are, going to put that top on, and this time I just put the glue on both sides and put it together. I did not use the activator because I didn't think I'd have it together fast enough, so I had to let it dry for a couple of minutes. And there's my chamber, and then I had to put some dust hoses on it. So I took some end cuffs from the screw-on type end cuffs and just modified them down. I cut that little flange off of them there, and then I cut the round part where the hose goes on, and I just pushed them through the hole and screwed them in place. Now I had to I left the back piece. I was going to originally glue it in, but then I decided I wanted to try a couple different designs, and the first one was kind of folded in the middle there. I was hoping to deflect the sawdust, and turns out that was the biggest part of my problem when I did I tried it. So I left that so I can change that out later. And I also had to make some spacers there on the top and stuff. But, you know, you can see pretty much here's my first go-around of my dust collection hood for the back of this saw. Allow me to do, 45-degree cuts either way, and no angle cuts, but, you know, just 45, which is all I'm going to do. And I did have some changes I had to make, so I just sawed them by hand. But first try, you can see how that guard I put in the back actually made the sawdust come around to the front. So that top piece I made was a mistake. Back to the original guard, and I had to cut that down for the 4-inch lumber, and that gave me a little better results. But I'm still getting the sawdust kicking back out of that chamber back there, and it's mostly, I think, because of that insert in the back. But anyhow, I'm getting really perfect cuts, and you can see this is the max capacity to the saw. I think it's about 4.5 inches. And I actually had to take the original, the stock one, and cut that off just to make it clear. You know, I tried that first before I started on everything else. And you can see that's where the problem is, trying to catch the dust on the full thickness of cuts. So you can cut like, 4x6s, 4x8s, 4x10s. And that back piece, I'll make another one and update this in a future video. I just wanted to, kind of show you how nice it is to have that laser to play around making guards and shields and prototypes and stuff. And it may not have worked out, but I really had fun doing it, and learned a lot of how to use a laser. And there you can see that's a max cut there. And that's what I'm trying to catch the dust on. And I'd have to tell you that a full kerf blade really makes a lot more dust too. But then again, there you can see perfect cut every time since I got that blade tuned in place there. And I made plenty of them, and every one was pretty much perfect. So I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So I'm getting there. Hopefully next time I'll get it right. A couple more changes, but I just wanted to show you how nice it is to have that laser to be able to cut out prototypes and, try things and stuff. And it only takes a minute to cut. It's not like we're doing on the CNC router or cutting them by hand or anything. And really works good with the acrylic, and kind of gives you prototypes real quick. And there's, some of the pieces where they cut them out of. So in the end, this first go around, I'm real happy with how it came out, and it didn't quite work right, but I'm going to work on it a little bit more. I've got some ideas now that I've seen where the dust is going, and I actually had a chance to try it, and I think I can get this working pretty good in the end. Plus, I've got other tools. I want to make some guards for it too. So this really is a easy way to do them and prototype them and stuff like that. And you could see that this little laser here, this Omtech laser, has really been a great tool, great addition to my shop. And I just wanted to, show you some of the things it's capable of. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.